What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs postgame show. I hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. We're within just a few minutes now of getting a final score from this week's AFC wildcard matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. At the time of me filming this, the Cleveland Browns currently hold a 48-29 lead. Now, it is Pittsburgh Steelers ball, but for the most part, this game is all said and done, and it will be the Cleveland Browns who are advancing to now play the Kansas City Chiefs in the next round of the playoffs. And I mean, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you have to be really happy with this matchup. I mean, you come into this game facing a lot of adversity. You're an underdog according to Vegas. You're without your head coach or without 4 coaches on your staff, and also some players, on your team, particularly defensively. We look at guys like Denzel Ward. I mean, everything was pointing against the Cleveland Browns in this matchup. But I mean, you come out just absolutely firing, especially defensively in the first quarter. First play of the game, you get lucky with the snap over Roethlisberger's head, leads to the touchdown, but 3 interceptions, in that first half. 4 interceptions overall. The Browns defense played absolutely fantastic. The Steelers came back a little bit in the second half. I thought the Browns could have managed the clock better, ran the ball more frequently, and also ran the ball better, especially in the third quarter, but they ended up getting the job done. Baker Mayfield was fantastic. This defense was really good, and I think the Cleveland Browns, who haven't made the playoffs since 2002, should be really happy in the direction that this organization is heading into. Just before we get into look at the box scores, make sure to head on to the Touchdowns to Home Run store. We came out with a really funny logo dance design, obviously poking some fun at Juju Smith-Schuschter and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Great quality designs, really funny. Definitely make sure to check those out. Get your merch for the remainder of the Cleveland Browns in the NFL playoffs. But moving on to the box score now, I mean, Baker Mayfield was pretty solid. 21 for 34. He threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I mean, he got the job done. Obviously, the defense is going to be, what people are talking about this game. But Baker Mayfield was solid. He made some really big throws. It looked like a vintage Baker Mayfield that I personally haven't seen in a while. In terms of the rushing game, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt both did really well. Nick Chubb, 18 carries, 76 yards, no touchdowns, but Kareem Hunt, 8 carries, 48 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. We knew coming into the game, Cleveland Browns had to run the ball really effectively. And I know that, when it's all said and done, this game was essentially over after the first quarter. But the Browns did the job. And, they stuck to the game plan. They did their job, were able to run the ball successfully, and I think, they're going to definitely need to do that next week against a Kansas City Chiefs team who is, really underrated on the defensive side of the football in comparison to how hyped up they are offensively. In terms of receiving, Jarvis Landry led the way with 92 receiving yards. He had 5 receptions. Austin Hooper had 7 receptions, 46 yards. Nick Chubb, great in the receiving game as well. Rashard Higgins, Kareem Hunt, Peoples-Jones, all got in there as well. And your touchdowns came from Landry, Chubb, and Hooper. I mean, again, they were really solid. Defense is going to be the main story, but I think you got to really like where this Cleveland Browns offense is going into a very tough and crucial matchup next week. Again, in terms of the defense, they were really solid. The stats are going to be a bit less in the Cleveland Browns' favor just because, they sort of let up in the second half. They ended up holding Pittsburgh to 8 of 14 on third down. It was a lot better in the first half. And then obviously 5 turnovers, the 4 interceptions from Ben Roethlisberger. And I mean, they really gave him problems all night long. Ben Roethlisberger, 45 for 64. He threw the ball 64 times, probably more by the time this game is actually all said and done, threw 3 touchdowns. And the 4 interceptions. Besides the interceptions, he was actually solid, which also spoon-fed the Browns some points, and I thought that was the difference in the game, which is a really unfortunate situation if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. James Conner did all right, 11 carries, 37 yards. Benny Snell got in the running game as well, 2 carries for 13 yards. James Conner added the touchdown on the ground. Had a lot of trouble running the ball really all game long. It was the passing game that started to bring him back in. Juju Smith-Schuschter, 12 receptions, 124 yards. Diontae Johnson, 11 receptions, 117 yards. Bunch of guys in double digits. We look at James Washington, Eric Ebron, Chase Claypool, James Conner. if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, obviously you started the season off 11-0, had high expectations, lost now 5 of the last 6 games down the stretch of the season, which is really unfortunate, but due to COVID, didn't have a true bye week this year, so you could blame it on part of the rest. Their defense sort of got figured out from what they were really doing good at the start of the year, which is sending extra pressure to the quarterbacks. They struggled to keep doing that at the later part of the season. But I mean, you got probably one of the most talented wide receiving cores, particularly when you look at the young guys in Diontae Johnson, Chase Claypool. I mean, you got a team with a bright future. I think the Steelers will be back next year. I'm sure of it. And I mean, I would just write this off as a COVID year. Unfortunate ending. Really talented Pittsburgh Steelers team, but again, just an unfortunate end to the year. I'm flipping over to the team stats. Browns were okay on third down, 6 for 13. Didn't turn the ball over, though. I thought they were really good. Not really getting the penalties. Again, needed to run the ball, ran the ball very well. Baker Mayfield also surprised me a bit, passing really well. They weren't that great in terms of their fourth down defense. Steelers converted all 3 attempts, but again, they might miss by the time that this game is actually over. We got 1 minute left in this game here. But the Cleveland Browns are going to be now going on to play the Kansas City Chiefs, and probably the tougher out of the 2 possible matchups when you look at Kansas City and the Buffalo Bills. And in my opinion, the Kansas City Chiefs are the most talented team in the NFL. I think they are going to make it to the Super Bowl, so I would predict that the Browns probably do lose next week. Kansas City Chiefs lost in week 5 to the Raiders. That was their one true loss this year. They ended the year as a 14-2 record, but they rested people in week 17 in their loss to the Chargers. And I mean, when you look at the Chiefs, they're a great team on both sides of the ball. Obviously, we know what they can do, with the talent on that offense, the receivers that they have, and obviously Patrick Mahomes. But they're really underrated defensively, because all of the focus is always what they can do, with Mahomes, that people don't realize how talented this team is in terms of their defense and how good their secondary is. Cleveland Browns, the way they played today, definitely looked like they could potentially be an upset pick. I don't think it'll happen. Baker Mayfield, the run game, Nick Chubb would be a huge factor, and obviously their defense would definitely need to figure out a way to stop that talent. I do think, though, the Browns should be looking at what they mismanaged in terms of the clock, but again, overall, I would just say a very solid game, and again, congratulations if you are a Cleveland Browns fan that you guys are moving on to the next round. But if you did make it to this point in the video, again, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Make sure to check out the Touchdowns to Home Run store. Cop your logo dance shirts. Again, poking fun at the Pittsburgh Steelers a bit, but again, a great way to celebrate your victory. Definitely make sure to check those out. They're not expensive at all. Great designs in the merch itself. Fantastic quality. But if you did enjoy today's video, definitely make sure to leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more content, post-game shows just like this throughout the entire NFL postseason. And again, if you did make it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.